Yeah, I mean, pretty obvious what the downfall was to that game. I thought we played well enough to win defensively. We didn't play great, but we played well enough to win. Offensively, we didn't do anything. We've got to start being able to run the foot. If you look at it, you're pretty much tit for tat in everything but rushing yards. And the bottom line is if we can't figure out ways to run the football, we're not going to be very effective on offense right now. When you can play light boxes and man coverage, that's not very good. And tonight we got a big time dose of that, and we had no answer for it. We could not get anything established. We had we got down on the goal line for half a yard, get stuffed. We had a fourth down one time where we tried to run a quarterback sneak, and luckily we got a penalty because we were about to get stuffed again. And so we've got to get that fixed, and obviously, ultimately, that's my job. That's my job, and I've got to get that corrected and start putting these kids in some successful situations, I guess, because right now we do not have a successful rushing attack, and we've got to get that fixed.
Nolan Nichols, in both of those situations, was he not the guy on the goal line and on 4th and 1?
Yeah, no, I mean, you're just, basically we're just rolling those guys as they come in. You know what I mean? We've got DJ takes X amount of series, and Nolan takes X amount of series, and the fact of the matter is especially the one on the goal line, it doesn't really matter who's running the football. When they play in your backfield, you don't have a chance at running back, and right now I think that's ultimately the problem with our running game is we're just relying on somebody big and heavy to be able to push the pile a little bit. We've got to start moving some bodies and creating some openings and some spaces, and we've got to be able to read those opening and spaces and get vertical in them. And and again, you've got two young and inexperienced running backs back there toting it, okay, and things of that nature. So, but ultimately we've got to get better at that. I mean, look down the sheet. That is where we felt. That was our failure tonight, was rushing the football right there. And when you can't do that, you put a lot of pressure on that quarterback and that offensive line from a passing standpoint, and the offense in general trying to move the football.
Turnover battle. One of the times this year that you guys just unfortunately didn't get it done. Cold weather, a lot of fumbles tonight. 5 by the Racers, 3 recovered by EKU. Did that have a lot to do with it?
Weather's never a factor. Just not concentrating, just not doing the things that we have to do. And ultimately, like I said, ultimately that's our job as coaches throughout the week is to prepare those guys and do extra drill work or whatever the case may be. Put a heavy emphasis on watching the ball into the tuck. And for anybody who's ever been to our practices, I don't know how you could put more of an emphasis on it, but we're going to figure out a way because we can't allow that to happen again. But it's just lack of concentration. They got a saying back there in the skill rooms. You can't go to the bank without the money. And tonight we were trying to go to the bank without the money, and taking our eyes off the football and things like that. And when you do that, it's going to be very hard to win ball games.
You talked a little bit about with the guys before as well, just as far as trying to stop the running game. This is the second week in a row that a good running back has come in and had his way. I know that's obvious to you. Why do you think that's happening?
Well, I think a number of reasons. The biggest reason is like I said, we're playing decent on defense. We played decent tonight on defense, but the fact of the matter is we've got to be able to get ourselves off the field. And that's what's happening is we're getting some longer drives and some things like that, and we're on the field for a lot of snaps. I think tonight we played 82 snaps, and that starts to wear on you. And that's a two-part process. That's partly them. They've got to get off the field, and secondly, and more importantly, is the offense has to stay on the field. We're not even I keep getting the question asked to me, hey, are you going to slow down and all of that? We're not even a tempo team. We haven't been a tempo team for weeks this season. We're just running plays. So we have to, the bottom line is offensively, we've got to convert some third downs and be able to stay on the field a little bit so that we can give those guys a break. I mean, good Lord, they don't even have time to go over there and draw some things up before we're yelling punt, punt up, punt up, punt up. So it's kind of a two-part deal. They got to get off the field, and we got to keep them off the field a little bit longer.
Were all the unsportsmanlike calls, was that just the game was getting out of control and the refs were trying to gain it back, or what?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't out of control. One of them was on me, and that's unacceptable. And I told the boys that. I told the defense that. That was unacceptable right there. That second score, that was on me, and that obviously cannot happen. But no, I don't think it was out of hand. I think it was some guys playing ball. To be perfectly honest with you, I think it was some guys playing ball and maybe got caught up in the moment. And I mean, you saw Mariko Page in here. He's got a bloodied nose. I mean, he looks like a football player. That's what football players are supposed to look like. That is what it's supposed to look like when you get off the field right there. And we've got to be smarter about throwing our hands up in some situations and not retaliating and some things like that. But it was just, it's two teams trying to get a win, man. And, and those kids were battling their brains out there.
What positives do you take away from a homecoming game like this? I felt like Montre Wade, his 5th interception, and you guys had your turnovers. Gabe Vicente looked good. What are some of the positives you take away from a game like this?
Like I said, defensively, I thought that we played good at times. I thought we played good enough to win at times. Gabe Vicente continues to be a tool for us, a really good tool for us offensively in his kicking. We've got to get better on punt. We've got to get Landon back on punt. And it's tough this time of year because you start playing some win games and some things like that. And plus, when you're punting as much as he's having to punt right now, law percentage says it's going to go down, and we've got to stop doing that. But I thought our coverage teams were good. Special teams I thought were okay, other than the 2 penalties on punt. Because they were the same penalty, that's unacceptable. So we've got to get that corrected. But I thought that was a draw there. And then I thought we threw the ball around well, especially considering everybody in the place knew that was all we could do. So I think 200+ yards passing when everybody knows that's the only thing that you got in your repertoire. That's pretty good. So obviously we'll try to build on that a little bit more too.
Did you get a chance to talk to 2002 team today and yesterday with Fernandio, Childress?
Mostly last night. I hung out with the guys last night here at the stadium a little bit, some of those players, and then I saw Coach Panunzio before the game. As a matter of fact, my wife just told me he walked up to her, knew who she was, and introduced himself to her. So just phenomenal guy, phenomenal coach. Phenomenal coach. He only got to stay for a little bit because they have LSU because he's in Alabama now. Really privileged to get a chance to meet him and spend some time with him before the game.